How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Jesse Lee, and today we are talking about body fat percentages. Now, a lot of people on the YouTubes and on the social media care a lot about body fat percentages, but today I'm just going to be talking to those folks who are just lay people who are just trying to understand a little bit more about body fat percentages. Today we're talking about different types of body fat that we have on our body. We're talking about what are kind of some healthy levels of body fat to be carrying, and how people typically go about measuring their body fat. I took a body fat scale test recently myself, and we'll kind of see my results on that test, and then we can kind of talk about how you should go about measuring your body fat, going forward, depending on what best options for you are. So stay tuned for all this wonderful information. All right, first off, our body has two different types of body fat. The first type is going to be subcutaneous body fat, and that's the body fat that's like right underneath our skin. So, some folks hold more fat in their face, some folks hold more fat around their like love handles, their thighs, their lower back. That would be the subcutaneous body fat. The second type of body fat is visceral body fat, and that's the fat that kind of surrounds our organs and helps protect them and keep them safe. And so it's important to have body fat in general so that our body, if we ever like take a hit or something, that there's some cushion between our organs, and our organs don't have to take the brunt of that damage. It's good for our hormones, keeping our hormones in check. So if we ever get too low body fat to the point where people are like shredded to the bone, they have like veins in their glutes, something crazy like that, that's getting into pretty unhealthy territory, and it's not a great place to be at, especially long term, because there can be some problems that come along with that. So that's the lower end, people getting down to really crazy low levels. But what about the people, just regular people? How much body fat should you be carrying? So I'm gonna throw up on the screen a quick visual, this chart that kind of explains different body fat percentages, what's healthy and what's not, at different age groups and depending on your gender. So everyone's gonna be different, and the younger you are, the lower body fat is generally better for you to have. So for example, if we're just checking out women on this chart, age 30 to 39, between 14% and 25% is a healthy amount of body fat to have. If you start getting 25% body fat and over, that can start becoming an issue. If we look at guys, age 50 to 59, guys typically are going to be holding on to less body fat than women. Just that's the way the cards are dealt. So guys, 50, 59, anywhere between 8% and that 25%, and then as soon as you start getting over 25%, that starts getting a little bit more dangerous. But it does just kind of vary depending on yourself. It depends on your gender, your age. One thing, one kind of like rule I would have everyone kind of pay more attention to than these specific numbers. These numbers are fantastic, but something that's a little bit more tangible is actually measuring your waistline. And so if you are a woman, typically having a 35-inch waistline and up starts becoming a health risk, and that can lead to higher risk of like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's. For guys, it's going to be 40 inches. So, guys can get away with a little bit more, but same thing, there's a lot of health risks associated with that. And so if you are measuring your waistline, the thickest part of your waistline, and you notice that you are 35 inches and up for a woman, 40 inches and up for a guy, then it's time to think about reining in your diet a little bit and start losing weight so that you aren't exposing yourself to these risk factors. All right, so how do people typically determine how much body fat they actually have on their frame? So first option, I just rank this as tests. So a lot of people can take different tests, and usually they're a little bit more on the expensive end, $100, over $100, $200, depending on the type of test that you get. So they can be a little bit more expensive and a little more of an investment. But yeah, so those tests are things like a DEXA scan where they take like these x-rays to determine your body fat percentages. There are air displacement tests, underwater weighing tests that can kind of determine your body's density and, you know, spit out a number for your body fat based on those calculations. Those are going to be on the more expensive end. And if you have money to burn and you're just curious and interested in seeing how much body fat you're carrying, definitely look up some of those tests in your area and schedule an appointment. That would be a pretty cool option. I've never done that myself, but you know, who knows, maybe someday I might, because it is kind of a cool number to have, and those are going to be the like pretty accurate numbers. But once again, it's not going to be 100% perfect, because no test is going to be able to determine precisely how much body fat we're carrying. There's always going to be a margin of error with all these tests. And so that's the first option, these kind of more expensive tests. The second option is going to be a skin caliper test. And I'm going to throw up a picture of what the device looks like, but it's basically like this kind of pinching device that you pinch in different locations that kind of typically hold more body fat. So it's sometimes like triceps and like lower abdomen, you know, top of your thigh. This option is pretty good. There's still a margin of error because it's a little bit, it kind of depends on the person performing the test. And typically I wouldn't recommend people who have never used this before to just buy one of these and use on themselves, because it usually takes a little bit more training and a little bit more practice to start getting pretty accurate with it. So you're at any kind of specialist who's done this test before, it might be worth looking into. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy one of these devices and try it out myself, because I just don't have that much experience with it. And it kind of, you know, it kind of depends from person to person. Someone who's holding a lot more body fat, it might be harder to accurately measure like these different sites on their body with this device, opposed to someone who's like really skinny. So you just need some practice with it. And so that's another option. If you know anybody, any professionals in your area that have done this before, it might be worth looking into, and it's most likely going to be a lot less expensive than those more, you know, the first option, those bigger tests. So yeah, that's option number 2. Option number 3 is going to be just a visual test. It's not really a test, it's really a comparison. So we've all seen those kind of charts, and I'll throw one up on the screen right now. But yeah, basically these charts that primarily look at our abdominal region to determine how much body fat that we have. So you basically look at this chart, look at yourself in the mirror, and see where you roughly end up on the chart. And this is super inaccurate because it's super subjective. That's the first reason. And the second reason is everybody holds fat differently. So some folks can hold a lot of their fat in their in their lower back and their like glutes and their legs, and not so much on kind of like their love handles, lower ab area. And so if you were just looking at yourself in the mirror and then looking at this chart I'm showing you, you know, you could estimate that you have a much lower body fat percentage than you actually do, because you're kind of holding your body fat in other areas that aren't as visual. Like, I've never seen one of these tests that kind of look at, you know, your thighs and how lean your thighs are, or, you know, your lower back or anything like that. And so this is pretty subjective. It doesn't cost you anything, but the trade-off is it can be pretty inaccurate, because it's just you comparing one picture to basically yourself. And so it's a good place to start if you don't have any of these other options available. If you don't want to spend any money, you can just visually check yourself out in the mirror, see where you're at, and if you're, you know, roughly 25-30% body fats according to this chart, kind of just based on your visual determination, then it might be a good idea for you to start losing weight and start thinking about getting yourself into a caloric deficit, so that you're not exposing yourself to any of those risk factors. And And the fourth option, the number one best way to determine your body fat is gonna be, this is the most precise method, and a lot of people don't talk about it because just how accurate it can get and just how insane it is. But the fourth option is cutting your cadaver up into like different portions, like segmenting one portion for body fat, segmenting one portion for like bone mass, muscle mass, and that's going to be the only way to get a 100% accurate determination of how much body fat your frame has. Obviously this is crazy, so wouldn't really recommend it, but yeah, that's the only way we're really going to determine with 100% accuracy what our body fat percentage is. All right, so I myself took a bioelectrical impedance test on this Tanita scan scale that I have at my gym. It's not super accurate. It costs like 25 bucks. It's not as like invasive and as accurate as things like the DEXA scan. So take this with a grain of salt. I'm gonna throw up on the screen my results of that test. And as you can see, my weight here is 200.4 pounds. My fat percentage is 7.5%, which means I'm carrying about 15 pounds of fat and like 176.2 pounds of muscle, 9 pounds of bone mass, BMI of 27.2. Yeah, and so I'm just gonna show you guys what I look like roughly the same day I took that test. And just here's a picture or a video of me posing, and you can kind of see how lean I am. Obviously, this is me posing. This is me after a workout. This is me with like good lighting and just like flexing and stuff. So I look leaner than I probably am. And honestly, with this test, if you just kind of compare the way my body looks in this video compared to like that visual scale, those images that I was telling you about a few moments ago, you can kind of see where my body's at body fat percentage wise, and you can kind of see how inaccurate all of this is. Like, I wouldn't say I'm as lean as a 7.5 person right here, especially with all the extra stuff I'm doing to make myself look a little bit better in this video. But that's how inaccurate that third option is. And so it's not going to be perfect, and it's you know, you're probably going to be a couple of body fat percentages off if you're using that third option, but it's still going to be a good measurement for ballparking where your body fat percentage is. If you check out this sheet and you notice that you are you know, in that 25-30% range and above, then it might be time for you to start making a change. And so that would be my biggest recommendation. And that's all I got for you today for this video. I hope this helped you guys out. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below if this helped you out at all. Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. That means a whole lot to me. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Peace.